Welcome to the Muscles and Magic the Gathering podcast with me, Bobby Maximus, and Joe Sabula. Joe, you are new in your Magic journey. We're doing this Commander for Dummies type of series. You, my friend, are the proverbial dummy. No offense. You're just new to Magic.
For now.
All right.
For now. As the series progresses, we'll have to work on the title.
We're going to have to find, we're going to have to do one of two things. Upgrade your status from dummy to something else, or we're going to have to find a new dummy. One of the two.
Yeah, we can do that too.
But I love you. I don't want to replace you. So here, eventually we do advanced commander type stuff. But we have talked about, we built you an elf deck from scratch. We talked about your bunny deck and how we're going to upgrade it. We talked about various bracket system in Commander. And we are now, I'm going to introduce you to the world of Gamechangers. I'm going to talk to you about the various Gamechangers and why they are important. So Magic the Gathering came out with a list, Joe, of game-changing cards.
Yeah.
These are cards that will change the game of Commander. So in other words, these are super powerful cards. These are like the best spells that you can get, all right? That's basically how it's sold. They've made it clear the Gamechanger list is not exhaustive. It's not complete. As we go through these lists, or as we go through the list, you might think like, why is this other card not a game changer? Why is this other card? So there's all kinds of arguments all over the internet about what should be on the game changer list, what should get taken off the game changer list, what do they miss? Why there's only 3 green game changers, but there's 7 black game changers. You follow? So we're going to do today, we're going to go over, because you have a green and black elf deck, we're going to go over green and black game changers.
All right.
There are 10 in total. There are 3 green. There are 7 black. So are you ready to go?
Let's do it. I got the list in front of me here, and I know you've got your cards handy, so let's dive in.
So we're doing this. I say this is the realest Magic the Gathering podcast on the internet. Why? Because the big guy owns all these cards. I own the Game Changers. We're not using graphics on the screen. We're not using, these are cards from my decks. Joe, the first one is Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger. And this is actually from this deck right here, a deck I call the Guardians of Mu. All my decks have pet names. You can check all my decks out in the show notes. You can check Joe's out under our MOXFIELDs. But this is the first one, Joe, and it is Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger. So it's a 7/6 creature with trample. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced. So basically, if you tap a green and you are a forest and you get a green mana, you get 2 green mana. So it's a mana doubler, right? Here's the big part of this. So whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, that land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So there's a double effect. A, I get double the mana. B, you can't untap your land. So this becomes, if this hits the board, this becomes really, really problematic for you, Joe. And I actually mailed you one of these in Phyrexian text. You might not have been able to read it, so you're like, what's this weird card with all this elvish writing on it? Phyrexians are not elves, but what is this weird language that I cannot read? And by the way, I am fluent in Phyrexian as a disciple of Elish Lord, right? But this card, you got this, Joe. This can go. You have a black and green elf deck. You have a green and white rabbit deck. Flip a coin where you want to put this card. This card is just insanely powerful and is a huge promoter for you and what I call a shutdown piece for other people.
Yeah.
This, by the way, is one of the bargains on the Game Changer list. Like on the Game Changer list, in speaking of the Game Changer list, here's the next one up. We have cards like Gaia's Cradle. This card, Joe, this is like $1,000 land, right? So when I say Vorinclex is a bargain, you can get one of these for like $10. It's a huge bargain for your deck. The next Game Changer is something called Gaia's Cradle. It has an argument, Joe, for the greatest land ever created. And because you are not quite a dummy anymore and you've built decks, you can see right here why this card is so good.
Well, just reading the text on the card and then thinking about my elf deck, Wow.
Yeah, you have 30 creatures out, you're getting 30 mana a turn. This, like, I wish I only have 3 of these. I wish I had 40 of these.
I only have 3 of these.
Right? Like, this is like the holy grail of lands. There's a couple of lands in Magic the Gathering history. There's Tolarian Academy. There's a couple of others, but this card, Joe, this is a massive card. And if you play any type of deck where you have tokens, where you're creating tons of creatures, you essentially have unlimited mana.
Yeah.
I mean, not really unlimited, not infinity, but I'm just to like prove a point. You have 40 elves on the board. You tap this thing, you get 40 forests. Like, it's just a 40 green mana. Like, it's just a bonkers card. And if you have any type of deck with green in it, you are sticking that in.
Yeah.
Got it?
Wow. And I'm just looking that one up because that one does not come cheap. Like you gotta choke that one down.
Even like some of the promo ones they have, Joe, that aren't tournament legal, but they were like giving away at an event, or like even those are like $150. Like it's just an insane card. It's one of the most powerful lands ever created in the history of Magic. The third game changer is survival of the fittest. You and I have talked at length about tutors. The ability to go in your deck and get what you need is a huge advantage in Magic the Gathering. In fact, one of the first cards I told you to buy is something that I believe should have been on the Game Changer list, the Worldly Tutor.
Yep.
And you've been playing. How many times has the Worldly Tutor essentially won you the game by being able to fish out?
Almost every time. Almost every time.
It's a massive card.
Yeah.
Tutors are where it's at. Well, this, Survival of the Fittest, Joe, it's like an eternal tutor because it's an enchantment. So this stays on the board. Your Worldly Tutor, you use it, it goes away. It's in the graveyard. Now, can you use some things with Retrace or things to get it back from your graveyard? Maybe. But this here, you choose and discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal that card to all, put it into your hand. So you want a Craterhoof Behemoth, which is one of the major win conditions in your elf deck. People use it in really anything that makes a lot of tokens. Craterhoof goes hard. You could just throw away your Arbor Elf. You could throw away your Deathrite Shaman. You could throw away your Immaculate Magistrate, like whatever that elf is, and you can go get a Craterhoof.
Yeah.
And then you can use it the next turn, and the next turn, and the next turn. Like Survival of the Fittest. Now, Joe, this card currently, right now, I'm going to have to look this up on my, can I call my desktop my side piece? What appropriate? All right, let me look this up. I'm going to go to TCG Player, because that will give us an idea of the market value of this card. Let's look it up, Joe. Survival of the Fittest. Here we go. The suspense, I bet it's killing you. All right, Joe. The market price of this card is $218.
Yeah.
So what did you buy the Worldly Tutor for? Like $13?
Yeah.
For a green tutor that stays on the board. The other reason this is so powerful is people don't run a lot of enchantment removal. Like, people have a lot of creature removal, but enchantments are harder to get rid of. And so, Joe, this ends up being a super powerful card and a game changer.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't have a high mana cost either. I mean, it's only 2 mana to cast the thing.
So can you imagine you got these 3 cards for your elf deck? Like,
I mean,
this
I
now
can,
takes it to a whole, like, you're in a whole different stratosphere right now.
Yeah.
Okay? So those are our 3 game changers. Now, Joe, I do want to add, I think Worldly Tutor needs to be on this list. I don't know why it's not there. Worldly Tutor, to me, is one of the best tutors ever. It's a casting cost of 1, correct? I think it costs 1 green mana. It's a relatively cheap card. You can go get whatever creature you need to win the game. I put Worldly Tutor in any green deck that I built ever. Like, it's that good. I actually ordered a couple more. They're coming, so they're going to be here soon. But like, Worldly Tutor, Joe, is as powerful, I think, as these. Like, it is a true game changer card. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
I will tell you, just having played the game can be going one way, and that card pops up into my hand, and the game is now going a different place.
It's over because you can now get, like, what's the chances? You might not ever see your Craterhoof Behemoth. You might never see, like, the Vorinclex card. You might never see. The fact you can go in your deck and fish out what you need, it's incredible. So I think that should have been one of the cards that's included. It wasn't, but
you don't get to make the decisions. You don't work for
deal, right?
Wizards of the Coast.
Still a powerful card. Okay, so we've covered off green, Joe. Extremely powerful cards in green. I do want to advise you, though, just because a card's not on the Game Changer list, it doesn't mean it's not strong. Like, you could make the argument in an elf deck, the Craterhoof Behemoth is as good or better than a Survival of the Fittest or a Gaia's Cradle. Like, you've won a lot of games with your Craterhoof, and that is a card that creates a lot of people misery. The reason it's not on the Games Changer list is because it's only good in limited decks.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have decks that create a lot of creatures to make that worthwhile, right? Same thing with, did you buy a Doubling Season?
Yes.
Or was it Parallel Lives?
And Doubling Season.
Okay, Doubling Season useless in a deck that doesn't make tokens.
Right, yeah.
But in a deck that makes tokens, it might be better than all these three. So really, like, when I look at the Game Changers are cards that are just good in any deck ever. Like, just stick them in. You get a Game Changer, stick it in. The only reason you wouldn't want to do this, Joe, is if you're trying not to go to a bracket 4.
Right, yeah.
Because bracket 3, you're allowed 3 Game Changers, so you got to pick them appropriately. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the black Game Changers.
All right.
We just talked about tutoring and how valuable using a tutor is. So you and I are going to play a game, and I don't even know, this is exciting for me because I don't even think you know this card exists. All right? So here we are. Our young hero, Joe Sabula, sits down to play Bobby Maximus in a game of Magic. I will let you know Joe is an unsavory individual, and he cheats, he lies, he steals, he stacks his deck so he has the worldly tutor ready to go so he can take me down. He did some kind of illegal shuffle. And then Bobby Maximus puts that out. It's called the Opposition Agent, Joe. Flash. I can put it out right away. Flash Joe means I can put it out like anytime. It's like instant speed. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. So our young hero, our nefarious game player, Joe Sabula, goes to use his worldly tutor for a Craterhoof Behemoth, and I like pull out a forest or an arbor elf or like just something that's like nonsense. And while an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were any mana of any color to cast them.
All right, interesting.
So this card, Joe, like, okay, you're building an elf deck. This is a human rogue. It doesn't fit thematically. But if you know I play with tutors, you stick this card in your elf deck. Because now it basically renders my tutors useless.
Right.
Like, I am not going to tutor for something and have you like cast that. Like, I'm just never going to play a tutor again. So, the Opposition Agent, right?
Yeah.
That is a great, great card. So that, Joe, that's our first black game breaker. And I think you can see, like, I'm actually curious when you read a card like this, I think you want one. Like, it's time for you to go to the TCG or Card Kingdom, and it's like, hey, I'm going to put this in my elf deck. Because
I will put that differently. I don't want my opponent to have one.
Yes. Because now your tutors are useless, right? This is a card that shuts down a lot of people. The next one, Joe, is Tergrid, God of Fright. This is from Kaldheim. This is another one of those relatively inexpensive tutors. So to give you an idea of cost, Joe, we talked about, what did we say, Vorinclex? Voice of Hunger? The Vorinclex Voice of Hunger, Joe, you're looking at about like $10, $11.
Right.
The Gaia's Cradle, you're looking at like 800 to 1,000. Survival of the Fittest, we're 210. The Opposition Agent, let's see what that's going for. $22 for a card like that. Okay. 25, 30. depending on the version, right? The Turgid, God of Fright, you can get this one for $10. This actual version of it, the market price is $8.86. A tremendous steal.
Yeah.
Again, one of those cards, Joe, that's just useful for a lot of reasons, right? Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So if your opponent is sacrificing anything, you can get what was sacrificed. If they discard anything, you can get whatever was sacrificed. Super powerful card. Another great shutdown piece.
Yeah.
And if you play somebody whose entire strategy, Joe, is built on sacrifice or discarding cards, this card here, it's just great. Now, it is a double-sided card. So check this out.
All right.
Target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. So now you could put this out, and so basically I'm going to tap it and say, Joe, you choose. You lose 3 life or you sacrifice a permanent or discard a card. So basically I can strip cards out of your hand or start to just wear down your entire board. Here's the kicker. You have a lot of mana. You can untap it and do it again. And untap it and do it again, and untap it and do it again. So for $10, Joe, this is another nasty card that I think I see your wheels turning. You're like making your little checklist. You're like, maybe I will order a Turgid's Lantern. All right? Now, another one we can talk about that you are no stranger to, and you can actually explain this one and see how far your Magic tutelage has come. Sorry, I got to reach these cards and had a hard time getting it off the table. There you go, Joe.
Yes. Oral Citadel. This one's in my elf deck.
All right. Great card. Makes an unlimited combo with the Aetherflux Reservoir and the Sensei's Divining Top. But you can look at the top card of your library, and you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. And if you sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, each opponent loses 10 life. I've almost never used that. Like, theoretically, that could be the kill shot on a game. Right? Like, if you're playing an Elathril deck, you got a bunch of... This could be the kill shot for it. But, Joe, I think you're starting to learn. I'd love your perspective on this as a newer guy. I used to not think 40 life was a lot. I used to try to conserve it. Now I realize I'll gladly pay 5 life for the right card.
Well, my perspective is the only hit point that matters is the last one.
Yep.
Up to that point,
I like that.
It's a resource.
So now you're just paying life for cards. And if you get a land, you could put that land down. That's a freebie because the mana cost is 0.
Yep.
If you get a 1-drop or a 2-drop, like your Deathrite Shaman's a 1-drop, you might have the mana to play it, so there's huge card advantage. But imagine the Craterhoof Behemoth comes up, and you don't have any mana, but you're willing to pay, what, 9 life? I think it's a casting cost of 8 or 9.
Yeah.
If you're at 30, to go down to 21, but then just run over your opponent and win, or like destroy, like beat all other 3 players in the game, this card is super powerful. And I think it's the cheapest game changer on the list. Like, I think you got this for what, $5?
Something like that, yeah. It was not you didn't have to twist my arm to get me to buy that one.
Okay, so looking it up right now, there are versions of this card that are $6.99. $7.62, $13, $18 for the Post Malone version of it, Joe. You could get it from Secret Lair. There's ones for $13, but like, again, an incredible value for any single deck, right?
Yeah.
And generally, I don't like stuff with higher casting costs. This has a fairly high casting cost, but still an incredible card.
Yep.
Okay. Next, I believe you own this one too.
Yep, just got that one. Haven't worked it into the deck yet, but it's on the list.
Well, it needs to go in there now, Joe.
It will before my next game. It's literally, I got the deck box, and it's like sitting on top of like I got a stack of cards. I need to get something out to put something in.
I am disgusted with you. I will about to cut you from the show because you haven't put this in your deck yet.
I'm going to tell you how this goes. I've been doing all these Magic podcasts that you're putting out constantly.
Okay, I'm going to tell you how this works. All right? Your beady eyes wake up in the morning. You open your beady little eyes. You get up. Before you get your coffee, before you get your protein, you walk to the mailbox. You open it up. The package from TCG or Card Kingdom or Cool Stuff or whatever is there. You run inside. You put it right in your deck. You got it?
Got it.
Okay. But ad nauseum, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost, and you may repeat this process any number of times. This, Joe, is a very dangerous game to play in a Dragon deck or an Eldrazi deck where you have stuff that's a really high casting cost.
Sure.
But tell me, what are most of your elves' converted mana cost? 1?
Oh, the 1s and 2s.
2? Like you could just, like you just draw, you're a 40 life, like you just basically draw out 10 cards and put those cards into your hand. Like it's just a great way to get card advantage. So this, for me, this is actually a game changer I don't put in every deck. Like the stuff, like the creatures I have that are giant casting costs. We talked about this. I like to keep the overall mana value of my decks under 200. But I just finished my Eldrazi deck. Like I was tinkering with it last night. And dude, it's like 320. Because the creatures are like a casting cost of 15, 12. Like it's just absurd. I will not put an ad nauseum in that deck.
Yeah.
But in a lot of decks, this goes hard, Joe. So we've got the Opposite Agent. We've got Chirpid God of Fright. Ad nauseum goes for about $13. Are you ready for the final 3, Joe?
Let's see them.
What do you think they are?
Well, I have the list here in front of me, so I can tell you exactly.
That's fine. See, this is
off the top of my head. We've got the Vampiric Tutor. What else have we done? Imperial Seal and Demonic Tutor.
Okay. So, Joe, you've just proven that you are a nefarious individual. You are unscrupulous. You are a cheater. You looked at the script. Okay. But we have correct the Imperial Seal, the Vampiric Tutor, and the Demonic Tutor. We refer to these, Joe, as the Holy Trinity. Remind me, what's the Holy Trinity of exercise?
Well, it's 30 minutes of pull-ups, push-ups, and dips.
Yeah, nerds, you want to get fit? Do your pull-ups, do your dips, do your push-ups. Here's an idea. Play a hand of Magic or play a turn. Go do some pull-ups. Play a turn of Magic. Go do some push-ups.
All right,
see,
that's going to be the Box Maximus Magic card, is that you can pay the mana cost in push-ups.
It's correct. That's it. That's it. Just do some work. But, Joe, we get the Holy Trinity of exercise. This is the Holy Trinity of tutors. Now, your worldly tutor you can only use for creatures.
Yeah.
The Imperial Seal. Search your library for a card, shuffle, and put that card on top. You lose 2 life. So you don't get the card into your hand. You put it on top of your library. You're going to get it the next turn. And by the way, if you pair that with a Bolas's Citadel, where you can just play the card anyway, 2 life to get whatever you want. And by the way, you can use this on turn 1, Joe.
Yeah.
Because it only costs 1 black mana. So again, an incredible card. Now, an Imperial Seal, Joe, it is not regarded as the best tutor of all time, but in terms of the Holy Trinity of tutors, it's the most expensive one.
Sure.
And it goes for the market price on that one right there is $107.91. It's the most expensive because it's just been printed an extremely limited amount of time. So they're just hard to find, right? Next one up, the Vampiric Tutor. You pay 1, you search your library for a card, then you shuffle your library and put that card on top of it, and you lose 2 life. So very similar cards, Joe.
Yep.
Both you lose 2 life. Both you look for a card. Both you put it on top of it. The Vampiric Tutor costs 1 mana, 2 life, and you go get whatever card your heart desires.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that around like the $40, $50 range too.
Yep. And honestly, they're very similar. Like they're almost identical, but the Imperial, Joe, it's just been printed so few times.
Right.
It's more expensive. Now, for the best tutor of all time, the demonic tutor. Search your library for one card and take it into your hand. So when you put it on your library, you have to wait till the next turn to get it.
Yeah.
This one just goes right into your grubby little hands. Like the only thing that would be better is if you could put the card right onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
Like that would be the only thing that might be more improved. And then you reshuffle your library. It costs one more mana, but to get it to my hand, Joe, it jumps me up a turn. So I am a huge fan of this card. This card's about $50.
Yep.
So again, this tutor's great. Now, you could theoretically play any one of these tutors, and in a game, they're going to work about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my advice to you, though, Joe. You just got a big raise at work. You're happy. You're rolling in dough. You go down to your favorite LGS, so you take your fat little fingers and you go on Card Kingdom and you start typing stuff up. In a deck, 2 tutors is better than 1 for the same cost.
Sure. Yeah.
So like, because I like to double stack my stuff. Like I struggle with this all the time. I actually just ordered 5 demonic tutors because I needed more. I had 19 of them and I needed 5 more, Joe. But A, I think it's the better tutor. But B, I wanted more Imperial Seals, but they're a lot.
Yeah.
And it's 1 card versus 2. So you have like literally double the chances. If you add this to your elf deck, now you have that in the Worldly. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
You add these 2 to your elf deck, now you have 3 tutors instead of 1. That's a way, way, way bigger difference.
Yeah, versus
that's
the cost
how I
of just
digest
1 card.
cost, right?
Yeah.
But 3, and all these 3 are in my elf deck. So here's how this really starts to work and get powerful, Joe. Your elf deck versus mine.
Mm-hmm.
Your elf deck's what, about $200?
Yep.
Okay, there's $200 cards right here.
Mm-hmm.
When you and I play, we're trying to win the same way because I helped you build your elf deck. We're trying to win with, you got a bunch of tokens and you want the Crater of Behemoth and whatever. You have a Worldly tutor and a Crater Hole. So you really, out of 100 cards, you got it like a 2, and it's not really a 2% chance because you open with 7 cards, you draw a card, you have some cards that'll help you draw other cards. But like the chances that you'll see those cards in a game, and actually you played this every time you play, you somehow manage to get your Worldly tutor and Crater Hole. Like you've managed to like pull those out, but your chances are still pretty low. So then imagine you come and play me, and I also have Survival of the Fittest, and I have the Imperial Seal, and I have the Demonic Tutor, and I have the Vampiric Tutor. Like, I'm just tutored right out. And what's the other one that you had? Because there's some budget versions of this, Joe, and this is why you're getting these so much. You got, sorry, I'm looking on your profile right now. By the way, in the show notes, you can find our MOXFIELDs. I'm going to go to my profile. It's Joe Lounge, but I am following you. You're one of my only follows on MOXFIELD. Okay, so let's look at Santa's Helpers. You need a different name for your deck, too.
Dude, I love it. What are you talking about? They're the elves.
Need something with, though, you need like something with Niflgaard. Isn't that like a Kingdom of Elves or something like that?
I like Santa's Helpers.
Okay, fair. Okay, so Joe, you put a natural order in your deck.
Yes.
There's an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a green creature, search your library for a green creature card, put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. That card's $6.70. That's a great budget version of Survival of the Fittest. Survival of the Fittest is obviously better because you can use it again and again and again. But if all you're trying to do is get that 1 Crater of Behemoth, natural order works just fine. Yep. And I have a natural order in my deck. You also have Summoner's Pact.
Mm-hmm.
Search your library for a green creature. Another great card in the budget version, Joe. You search your library for a green creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. At the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 4. If you don't, you lose the game. So you have to know you have to pay 4, or I'm not going to do something shady like play a card to tap all your lands, so you automatically lose. But see, this is why I can't call this Commander for Dummies anymore, because you went ahead and you were like, what tutors can I get on a budget?
Hey.
Here we go. But now, if you play that game, you have the Worldly Tutor, you have the Natural Order, you have the Summoner's Pact, you have a Fauna Shaman, which acts as a tutor. Discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand. That's a great budget version of Survival of the Fittest. So now you have 4 chances to go get your thing. Well, so now imagine you added another 3.
Right. Basically doubling
it just starts,
the overall chances, yeah.
Well, now what you're doing, you're building a very quick lane to victory. Because if you have like, how many tutors does it say you have? And by the way, this is why I love MOXFIELD, because you can look this up. You have 5 tutor cards.
Yeah.
Right? What's the other one? Yisan the Wanderer Bard.
Yep.
Put a verse counter on it. Search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of verse counters on Yisan. Great card. It's going to take you like 9 turns to get a Craterhoof Behemoth, but maybe you can get something else like Marwyn or, like another really good elf. But like, dude, you start loading your deck with tutors. That's the secret, Joe. You have like a very strong win condition.
Yep.
And then you just load the deck with tutors to go get those things.
No, we talked about this a little bit offline about when you're building a deck, is understanding, the strength of the commander and then deciding if you're just going all in on one way to win the game.
Yep.
Where it's like, if you get the draws, game's over, or maybe you need to have 2 or even 3 different win conditions and balancing the deck so that you've got a good shot of landing on one of those.
And I like that way better. Like, there's a way to split the difference because, by the way, these tutors will never hurt you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But I like having an alternate win condition because if you play, and I don't want to label anybody, but like if you were to play the scum of the earth, like a mono blue player, Joe, who has a ton of counter spells, and it's like they counter your Craterhoof, if that was your win condition,
you're cooked.
You're like so what's the secondary like? What's the thing that you do? And so when we look at your elf deck, you have your Bolas' Citadel, you have your Sentai's Dividing Top, you have your Aetherflux Reservoir. There's another combo. If that goes offline and you have a bunch of tokens, the Well-Wisher can make life. The Aetherflux Reservoir can. But here's the beauty of these 3 tutors again. You can go get your Bolas' Citadel.
Yeah.
You can go get your. One of the limitations with your deck right now is all the budget tutors you have, they only get you creatures.
Yep.
You can't get the Bolas. You can't get the Aetherflux. You can't get. So we're going to look for some budget tutors that you can use. And coincidentally, I just did a video on this that you can use to put in your deck that can help facilitate this if you don't want to spend the money on this. Now, being my best friend and being a guy who spends a lot of money on board games and Warhammer figures, you're just going to go get yourself a demonic and a vampiric. That's your homework for after the show. This is your just go order and get what you got to get. But the 3 budget ones that I use, Joe, are 1, and I've got one somewhere, but the Diabolic Tutor. Right? So, the Diabolic Tutor, Joe, is just like the Demonic Tutor. However, it costs 82 cents, and search your library for a card, put that card into your library, and shuffle your library. So you know what the difference in price between $50 and $1 is, Joe?
$49.
That too. Casting cost.
Right.
So the Demonic Tutor is a casting cost of 1 black and 1 colorless. The Diabolic Tutor costs 2 black and 2 colorless. So the reason this is so expensive is A, printing, but B, I can get it out maybe even turn 1.
Yeah.
That other one is a great card for later in the game. But that actually would fit into your deck because you're going to need the Crater Hoof later in the game after you built a bunch of tokens.
Yep.
So if you don't want to splurge for the Demonic Tutor, I think, and actually you could make the argument in your deck that you might want to buy the Diabolic Tutor and then invest your money in one of these other Game Changers.
Right.
Because if you're trying to get the Crater Hoof, you don't need it in your hand turn 1 or 2 anyway. This tends to work better in like where I'm going for that thing right away. All things being equal, if they were the same price, of course you want this one.
Yeah.
Your deck you could probably do with a Diabolic Tutor. So that should be on your list. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Next, Joe, is something called, and you're going to put these on your wish list, the Insatiable Avarice. So you can get one of these for about $2.46, Joe. You pay 1, and then you pay an extra 2 colorless. And you search your library for a card, then put that card on top. This is the budget Vampiric Tutor.
Yeah.
Okay. You pay 2 black. Target player draws 3 cards and loses 3 life. So if your opponent's at like 1 life, you could just end them.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of life, you could draw some cards. So maybe what we should actually do is, let's go through some of the Game Changers and talk about the budgets we can do before we close the show.
Sure.
So for the Demonic Tutor, you can go buy the Diabolic Tutor. You got it?
Yep.
For the Vampiric Tutor, you can go buy the Insatiable Avarice. All right? That's like your budget Vampiric Tutor. I don't know if there's a straight up budget Imperial Seal, but the one I like, Joe, and this is not going to seem like a budget, Diabolic Intent.
Okay.
So the Diabolic Intent, and I've got a lot of these cards, I just don't have them handy because we're kind of going off script right now. And I don't like playing with budget cards. I didn't say that. Budget cards are totally okay. They're fine. But I actually use the Diabolic Intent, Joe, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, and then you go get whatever card you have and put it in your hand. To be honest with you, if we're looking at like the Vampiric, where you put the card on top of your library, or the Imperial Seal, if I have 30 elves on the board, I'd rather sack an elf and put that card in my hand.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So like in some cases, like the Diabolic Intent's not really a budget card. It's $10. But in some cases, people are going to come at me in the comments for this. I actually think it's better than an Imperial Seal. Because I'd rather sack the creature and get the card into my hand.
Yeah.
The reason this is so valuable is you're talking now guys that are trying to win turn 1 or 2 or 3. Like you're really trying to like, in CDH, you're trying to like, you like every turn matters because people are like ramping up that fast. That's why that's expensive. But the way you play, I think a Diabolic Intent is as good as an Imperial Seal.
Sure.
And because you're creating so many tokens, like if you were like running a low amount of creatures and you need it, you don't want to have to sack your Boring Clucks.
Yeah, yeah.
That is not what you want to do. But if you have to just sack a lowly, how many elf tokens do you have on the board when you play?
I mean, the goal is as many as possible, but it's easy to get up into double digits.
Yep. The answer is, Bobby, how many push-ups do you do? All of them. Joe, how many tokens do you have on the board? All of them. Like you could make the argument that a Diabolic Intent, and again, you just have to sack a creature to use it. Sometimes I would rather do that to get the card in my hand so I can play it right away, not the top of my library.
Yeah.
So I think the Diabolic Intent is a phenomenal card, Joe. Fair?
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Now, let's talk about budget for Survival of the Fittest. The budget for Survival of the Fittest, Joe, is going to be D, well, we talked about it. There's a bunch of them. Do you know what I mean? But I really think that Fauna Shaman works out well.
Right.
Right? So when you read it and you're thinking, okay, this is actually really interesting to try and talk through this. So survival of the fittest, you choose and discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. The Fauna Shaman, you discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So they're essentially the same card.
Yeah.
Why is survival of the fittest so expensive, you ask? Well, it's more rare. You can't just find these. And a lot of people run creature removal. Way easier to get rid of creatures than the enchantments. So, like, but look at the difference in price. $277 for the Fauna Shaman. Like $212 for this.
Yeah.
That's a wild swing, Joe.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's where we're at with that. Born Clex, there are some other cards that will double your mana. You're looking at, Joe, something like do me a favor, look up a Caged Sun.
What was that?
Look up Caged Sun.
Caged.
Yep.
Here we go. $3. As Caged Sun enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+1. Whenever a land's ability causes you to add one or more mana of the chosen color, add one additional mana of that color.
You got it. So it's a way for you to get more mana, basically.
Yeah.
And in terms of shutting people down, like, you can look at something like a Winter Orb or something like that. Problem with the Winter Orb, Joe, and I'm having a panic moment because I don't know. Oh, dude, I thought I lost. I was like, where did my Gaia's Cradle go? I was having like a meltdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can use like a Winter Orb, but a Winter Orb like causes everybody to not tap, which is problematic. So like that Boring Clex card is harder to replace on a budget, but luckily it's only $10. It's like a budget card anyway. Now, there will be people, Joe, that come at me. $10 not a budget card. Dude, you spend $10 at Starbucks. Stop. You really want a card, go get it. It drives me nuts how people like you, not you, but like you'll go buy 2 booster packs, or you'll go buy like a pre-release kit, but then you'll cry you can't afford a Boring Clex.
Yeah.
It's like, Joe, just instead of buying those 5 Moonborough packs, why didn't you just buy like 2 Gamechangers or 3 Gamechangers? So that's a budget anyway. You don't need a replacement for that. Fair?
Yeah.
Ad nauseum, Bolus's Citadel, I think we agree those are completely affordable.
Yep.
And again, they're hard kind of things to replace. Okay? Next up, Joe, Gaia's Cradle. The replacement for that, add 1 green mana for each creature you control. Really hard to replace that card. Especially if you looked at all the green decks. Like swirls, dragons. You understand what I mean?
Yep.
But in the context of your elf deck, the Priest of Titania. That one there, add a green mana to your mana pool for each elf in play. Because you're making a massive amount of elf tokens, Joe, those cards essentially, they work kind of the same way. So I would go for that one. Oh, here's another one. Here's a budget one, Joe. The Circle of Dream Druids. Do you have that one yet?
I don't think I have that one.
You need to put it on your list simply because it's from Adventures in Forgotten Realms and you're a D&D guy.
Yep.
And you're going to be making all kinds of D&D content coming up for your YouTube channel.
Yep.
So if you guys listen, if you are into D&D, make sure you subscribe to Joe's YouTube channel. Joe Lounge will put it in the show notes below. But if you're into the best D&D content, he's going to be releasing that soon, I hope. I want to watch it.
Very
I want to
soon.
learn about You know, you should actually do a reciprocal podcast, D&D for
Oh,
dummies.
100%
and
we
then
should.
can
I
be
should
dummy.
get you into it.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But, Joe, if you look at Circle of Dreams Druid and Gaia's Cradle, read the cards.
Yeah.
Gaia's Cradle, add a green mana to your mana for each creature you control. Circle of Dreams Druid, add a green mana for each creature you control. So you can go the Circle of Dreams Druid or the Priest of Titania, and that's how you could basically get that effect.
Yep.
So those are your budget versions for those cards. And then the final two we have are Opposition Agent, and we've got the Turgid God of Fright. Now, in terms of the Turgid God of Fright, there are all kinds of cards that you can like get stuff from people's graveyards, Joe. Do me a favor, look up a card called Reanimate. Reanimate's one of my favorite cards.
Reanimate. Here we go. 15, $20. Cost 1 black. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost.
Yep, not bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all right, but Turgid's still relatively a budget card. I think you can afford that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With Opposition Agent, you're looking at like, I'm trying to think of a black card, but like, maybe a card like Divert, maybe a card like Stranglehold. You ever see Stranglehold?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's a red card. And basically it says your opponents can't search libraries. If an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. That's a great card, by the way. Red, one of my favorite red cards all the time, but it's not black, so you can't put it in a black deck.
Yeah.
But that's why Opposition Agent is so tough, because that is, and I might be wrong, and you guys can help us out in the show notes, is there a black budget version of Opposition Agent and Turgid God of Fright? That's like a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like the Diabolic Intent, or the Diabolic Tutor is the exact same card as Demonic, just a different casting cost.
Yeah.
I can't think of a black card off the top of my head that does exactly what Opposition Agent does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like how that Circle of Dreams Druid does what Gaia's Cradle does, but I can't think of like another card for Turgid God of Fright that does exactly that. Again, you can use the Reanimate card. And by the way, you could buy some versions of that, Joe. Sometimes at your card store, they'll go down to like $5 or $6.
Yeah.
But that's a single instant. But if you guys have any ideas on some budget replacements for these cards, we would love to. We're all ears, man. I would love to hear about them, because I think that would be a blast. So what do you think, Joe? Your introduction to Gamechangers, black and green.
Every time we do one of these episodes, my wish list just grows.
Your wish list just grows. I'm thinking for your deck, though, now that we talked this through, like, I think you could get away in your deck with I say get away. I think Diabolic Intent would be a great choice.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have an elf to sack for your Craterhoof.
Yeah.
And when you play Craterhoof, whether you have 20 or 21 creatures on the board, that's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Right? So I think you get a Diabolic Intent. I think that's a great purchase. And here's the other reason why you'd want to put this in. I'm actually glad we're talking about this, Joe. This is the best way to close the show ever.
All right.
You're a bracket 3.
Yeah.
Your play group has agreed that we only play bracket 3. We're not cutthroat around here. We want to give everybody a hug. We just want it to be a fun, friendly game. You already have 3 Gamechangers in your deck. If you get a Demonic Tutor or a Vampiric or an Imperial, all of a sudden, your deck now has to jump to bracket 4.
Right.
Right? Whereas you can get...
But again, if the group has decided that we're going to play at a level 3, And I basically have a card that boosts it up to a level 4, but it's not specifically on that list. Have I really, really kept it non-cutthroat
what we
hobby?
call,
Really?
and this is part of this thing with the bracket system, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bad actor. You are like, and again, I called you, what are the words I called you earlier? Nefarious, unscrupulous, like you're not really following the spirit. This is the problem I have with the bracket system and the game.
That's why this is the game for me, Bobby.
It's like, if I'm looking at your deck and you have all these elf tokens, a diabolic intent and a demonic tutor essentially are the same card.
Yeah.
One pushes you to a 4, one keeps you at a 3. So if I'm you and you're let's look at your deck before we wrap up.
Sure.
This is where it's great having it online because so Joe, you're a 3.
Yep.
Because you only have one game changer. So if you want to really terrorize your bracket 3 friends and be a bad actor, you're not going to get an Imperial Seal or a Vampiric because you're allowed 3 game changers. You're going to get, you've got a Bolus's Citadel already. We're going to get an Ad Nauseam, and then we're going to get a Vorinclex or an opposition agent. But then we're going to get that Insatiable Avarice, which is not going to push you to a 4. We're going to get the Diabolic Tutor, which is not going to push you to a 4. We're going to get the Demonic Intent, which is not going to push you to a 4. Like, that's how you're going to cheat the system. And
well, and that's what we said before. Now it's like a 3.99.
Yeah.
Versus
and
like
that's
somebody
where
else's
this gets
3.01.
Because I'll be real honest with you, my elf deck's $2,700. And if I take out the Imperial Seal and I put in a Diabolic Intent, it's not that much different of a deck, man. People will argue with you and like, okay, but like it's not that much different. So like we need to get you a Circle of Dreams Druid, which is like the budget Gaia's Cradle. We get you a Diabolic Intent. And then when you roll your buddy JP, hi, I know you're watching. When you roll him, you could be like, what? I'm bracket 3, so are you. And you could just be like, I'm following the rules.
Yeah.
We need to do an entire podcast on how to build like bracket 2 decks that actually play at like a 4.9 and crush people.
I like it.
But again, that would be the wrong thing to do because that's not the point of the bracket system. The point of the bracket system is so you and I can like, not so I can just beat you. It's like, hey, Joe, we want to play tonight. What deck is this? What deck is that? Are we going to have a fun game?
What kind of game do we want?
Not me being like, ooh, I have a secret 2 that actually plays like a 4 so I can win 9 out of 10 times and ruin your week.
Yeah.
So there we are. We covered some Game Changers, Joe. Next time we will cover another pair of Game Changer. Maybe we'll do red and white. We'll do blue. We'll do artifacts. We'll do something fun.
You do red and blue. I'm building that otter deck, so that would be perfect.
Yeah, that would be good. I'll do some research. Put Stranglehold in that otter deck. Trust me. Put that on your list. Well, I'll actually do some research because I'm curious what people are going to say, like the opposition agent and the whatever for the budget versions. And thanks for coming to the episode. Subscribe, turn your notifications on, and make sure you put those comments below. I want to hear your best budget Game Changer replacements.